Hey, thanks for joining. In the previous video, we have seen how to solve max consecutive ones problem. But in this series, in this video, we are going to see resolving the problem of max consecutive number. So it can be 0 or it can be 1 or it can be any other number. So the array can contain multiple numbers. It can be 0, 1 or any other number. And we need to find the max consecutive number and we have to return the count. Let's do that. Let's write the code. If you are familiar with my previous video, which is on max consecutive ones, so the solution looks similar, but there are significant changes. So I'm going to define int max count equal to 0 and int temp count will be 1, and it's going to use the same for loop, int I equal to 0, I less than 10th minus 1. So same like the max ones, going to use input array of I, input array of I plus 1. So in the while calculating the max ones, here we added one condition, so we are not going to add that condition. And then we are going to increase the temp count plus plus, and if else, so max count equal to math.max either temp count or max count. And then I'm going to reset temp count to 1. So finally, I'm going to display so max consecutive number in this series will be, just remove all of this mess, and either max count or temp count. The solution is clean and straightforward. So let's recap. I created two counters. One is max counter and temp counter. Then the for loop, which loop through the array, and it's going to validate both consecutive numbers, the number in the I position and the number in the I plus 1 position. And if they are same, it's going to increase the temp count. And if not, it's going to move or calculate the max count at this time by using the Math.Max and by providing both temp count and max count. If the temp count is not greater than max count, that means we already determined the max count earlier and still it's continue as a max count. Otherwise, it overrides with the temp count. And then I'm resetting the temp count to 1. And finally, when we are returning the value or when we are printing the value after completing the for loop, after iterating all the items in the for loop, then I'm determining the max count by doing the Math.Max. So this Math.Max is a very handy method when you are trying to determine which number is maximum of given two numbers. Let's run the code and see whether it's working or not. The inputs are same. The first one should return 16. Yes. Second one is 5. Yes, we have 5 consecutive ones. And the third one, we have 5 consecutive zeros. And the last one, we have 6. This code is not only for zeros and ones. It should also find out the max consecutive number, whether it's a 3 or 6 or 1. Let's change the input. Yes, we have 16 threes, have other numbers, but still the 6 zeros are max consecutives. Let's check some more inputs. I changed input, removed the max consecutives 3. It's not anymore 3. So I should see a different. Yeah, 14. We have 14 max consecutive ones. 5. In the second input, we have 5 consecutive ones. The third input, we have 5 zeros. And in the fourth, still 6 zeros. So this code is working fine for max consecutive numbers. So this is the this code is going to determine the max consecutive numbers and return the value. Let's find out whether we have any other approaches. This is a decent solution. This is a decent approach where you're not having where you're not using more variables or more memory. We have just 2 counters and we are using the Math.Max. So let's see and find out whether we have any other approaches for solving the same. There is another approach we can achieve the same. We can using the same, that is called XOR. So there is a feature called XOR. But before before going to implement that, I'm going to add a edge case. If input array dot length equal to 0, or yeah, that means it's not having any. So let's put add a condition not equal to or greater than 0, or else if you are returning the number, it's easy. Since we are not returning any number, I need to add this. So if you are returning a number, just you can add a if condition and say return 0. Since we are not doing that, due to number equal to 0. So this will address our edge case. And in the next slide, we are going to see the other approach is using XOR. So let's add one more method to implement the XOR approach. So public static void max consecutive number using XOR. So it's going to take the same input array. So let's find out the code. So I added the edge case. If the length is greater than 0, then I'm going to write the code. So I'm going to define three variables, max count equal to 0, int temp count equal to 0, and int previous number. So this is another counter. It's not a counter, another variable which stores the previous number, and I'm going to assign a -1 for that. And for each int I in input array, so if previous number, so here we are going to add our XOR condition. So what is this XOR condition and what it's going to do? So you can use XOR condition. So this is the condition. You can find it in your keyboard on top of number 6, numeric 6. So there is a up arrow mark or a up open triangle. So this XOR will be used to check if consecutive elements are same. So as XOR of two numbers is 0, then both numbers are same. So like the previous and XOR and the number equal to 0, that means they are consecutive numbers and you can good to continue on the sequence. So let's write the code. So I'm going to use the XOR condition now. So previous number XOR and number, if name it as number. So if it is equal to 0, that means both are same and your consecutive condition should proceed. So I'm going to increase temp plus plus. If the previous number and the current number, they are not same, then I'm going to go to the else condition. And here I'm going to define or determine the max count using Math.Max count and the temp count. And I'm going to set temp count equal to 1. So let's check what we have defined in the temp count on the top. But here I'm going to reset it to 1. And after completing the iteration, I'm going to set previous number to the current number. And finally, after completing the for each loop, I'm going to display console.writeLine max consecutive numbers in this series. So same Math.Max I'm going to use. Plus Math.Max of temp count, comma, max count. So let's run this and see how the code is working. Let's run the code and see how it's working. Okay, so as we are expecting 14, 5, 5, 6, our code is working. So just recap what we have done. First, we have seen the max consecutive numbers without using the XR, where we are doing a comparison between uh, ith item and I plus 1. And here we are using the Math.Max. And there is another approach where we define 3 counters. This is a placeholder, 2 counters and 1 placeholder, previous number. And we are doing the same for each loop. And we are using this condition. The previous number and the current number is same. That means they are consecutive and we are continue increasing our temp count. And if not, we are resetting the temp count and we are storing the max count till that time. And finally, for each iteration, we are setting the previous number to the current number. So, and finally, we are using the Math.Max. So in this video and in this, while solving this problem, we come across Math.Max. So this Math.Max is a very important method and useful method when you are trying to do a comparison between like two numbers and find out which one is bigger. And also in this approach, we have seen how to reserve the max count or max number till that time. So if you practice these kind of like samples or these kind of features, so you no need to think that Math.Max will be useful only here. So if you are aware of and if you practice how to use it, you can use the same whenever you are trying to resolve different problems. So these the idea of practicing all of this, you practice all of these, and if you keep in your memory, so they will automatically pop up when you are trying to resolve the problems. And especially when you are in front of the interviewer, like you will be under pressure, and if you practice these things, so the pressure will overcome by your memory. So you will be very confident and your memory will keep on telling you, hey, in this case, you can either you have to use Math.Max or you have to use for each loop or you have to preserve the counter or preserve the max number till that time. So all these are part of your practice. Thank you so much for watching my videos. I think we are done with the max, finding the max consecutive number. So please watch and provide your feedback. Your feedback is very important for improving the quality. I'll come up with some other topic in the next videos. Until that time, keep practicing. Practicing is very important and make yourself confident and that improve your abilities, thinking abilities and analytical abilities. So suggest any topics if you want to learn. So I'll take that as a priority and I'll make it. Until that time, happy coding.